The great shift, it's not about who's going to be president. That's not the great shift. It's your reaction to everything is the great shift, not the thing itself. What have all the great masters throughout history that you've ever read about? What did they do? They are able to reinterpret what is happening, redefine what is happening.
No
You go,
matter
well,
how painful. Heal Squad, my conversation with Riz was so crazy. We had to put it into 3 parts. We thought it was going to be a 2-parter, but he had a lot to say. So we did 3 parts. He unveiled so many things we can expect to see, from political challenges, natural disasters, to Bitcoin becoming mainstream and TikTok maybe staying. We'll see. Plus his predictions for Heal Squad in 2025. Guys, you have to hear the rest of his predictions. So does that create a war that we're going to have to
yeah,
deal with, like
yeah.
World War III?
No, I wouldn't call it World War III. Um, I would call it that if I saw it, but I don't see it. I do see that we are on the edge of really no one trusting anyone politically. That's why I brought up friends, people that we thought were really our friends, or they're good enough to be our friends for a moment while we need to do what we need to do. Your friends are just politically. Your friends are just, do we both want the same things and we both want to get it from there? Okay, we're quote unquote friends, and that can go on for centuries.
Mm-hmm.
But I do feel that we're at that edge where I don't see any military activity ceasing for a while. And I do see some new friends to America that will surprise people. Like, oh, they're friends with us now? They like us now? Yes, I see some.
Like who?
Well, I see certain Asian countries.
Like,
So I see that a shift in North Korea. That will be more in 2026, middle of 2026, more towards that time period. I saw that where
I just got chills.
they they want a better PR for themselves. I see that, and I also see some South American countries changing. I see a great deal of shifting in South America. So that would be in Brazil, Venezuela, major shifts happening there. I do see, unfortunately, I see a natural. I don't usually say this, but I'm going to just say because I'm feeling it's okay for me to say it. I do see a natural disaster in South America. It feels to me like an earthquake. I don't know if
Where?
that's on a fault line. It seems to be right along Argentina, Brazil area. Argentina. No. Listen, I cut out during geography class. So I don't know if those countries
Okay.
border on each other, but I get Argentina,
Okay.
something there. Um, and that's, of course, I don't like saying it. I am saying it. And I don't even know if they've ever had an earthquake because I don't go by like news in the past. I just tell you what I
Yeah.
feel, and I feel it there.
Do you feel one in California?
Yeah. I mean, look, I mean, you don't need to be a psychic to know we are gonna get hit eventually. But I do want to say, interestingly enough, with your background, I want to say something about Greece. I see a major change and a major new leader coming out of Greece to bring it out of some serious corruption and some serious stuff. So I see that happening, and it's not going to be pretty, but it's going to be super important and ultimately for the benefit of the Greek people. I don't see a lot of good things for India. You know, my family's from India. I see still a lot of political unrest. I see a nation there that is an energy is building and swirling of a lot of discontent on in many factions, and they're still trying to figure out who it is that they are. And you got 1.2 billion people. Can't compare them to anyone. Can't compare them to any other country. You deal with 1.2 billion people of different background, different religious backgrounds, different languages, 14 major languages in India, 1,200 dialects. Good luck. But I see that as a process of about another decade for them. Um, I want to go into science. more into that. Like I see that the science of things is going to actually help a great deal. And that can scare people. Like, what do you mean, robots? What? Yes, everything you're seeing is actually going to lead to a cleaner environment. What you're seeing on a huge scale, why you felt World War III, Maria, and I want to tell you why your gut feels that. Your gut feels that because you feel that deeply there is something stirring and rising, and you're feeling the energy of people wanting change. And that massive energy could make you feel like, oh, it's everybody fighting in World War III. Yes, it can feel like that, but I don't see it as that. It will not be declared ever as World War III. It's not going to happen. There will be consistent military operations, though. So that's why I said that the new administration thinks it's going to go a certain way. It's going to be easier. It's not.
So, with multiple assassination attempts on Donald Trump, do you see anything like that in 2025 that is?
No, I'd see that he needs to look after his health because, you know, um, he's a high octane individual, and so that energy is burning really strong in there in him. Great mental energy, but the body must be taken care of. He really needs to change how he's eating and take care of himself better because I feel that 2 years in, I feel a health condition that he needs to really address, and it's going to help him and hopefully, help him do better for people with the great amount of energy that he has. It's a tremendous amount of energy that he has. It's how do you direct it?
Mhm.
And the reason why he won, he's far more powerful energetically than anyone who was up there. And that's all it comes down to. You can have your personal opinions, but you have to understand energy. It's a very, very touchy subject for a lot of people. But again, we've seen throughout history, people who have been convicted of things that maybe were innocent and people who were not convicted of things that were guilty. What are we dealing with is we have to zoom the camera out because look what's happening even with this guy with Luigi. People are not even angry about it because he was how he looked and he was they're like, oh, he's so hot, and they're making cute videos on Instagram, and let me tell you, it's viral. So what is the collective consciousness saying?
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. Ask yourself. You'll have an opinion. You'll say, well, if he wasn't attractive, then they would just, they probably would have already sentenced him. Yeah, it's possible if you know human nature. But then again, there are other people. I think it was Chris Rock who said the other day on his stand up, he's like, drug dealers get shot sometimes. Whoa. He said that in his stand up act. I was like, woo, brother. All right.
It's just really dangerous for us to make this okay. Whether the
That's right.
underlying reasons are justified in some way, right? Like I knew instantly, I'm like, someone was really jilted by the system and really just upset.
But it's the
Um,
system. It's not that
but
person.
but it doesn't
Yeah.
make
It doesn't make it
murder
right. No, it doesn't.
okay.
Not at
And
all. There's
so
only one
and this
violation. I'm going to
just
tell you something.
gives people permission to now go blow up whoever did them wrong. That's
And
not.
that is what you're going to see. That is what you're going to see because you have to pay attention to boiling water, and that water has been boiling. This is how revolutions started, and many of those revolutions took out innocent people that you go, well, that wasn't the person. And if you're
Yeah.
willing to sacrifice a person for what you already know logically is a system, then you're not really a healer of society. You haven't graduated into the next level of how does this change. So you want to create fear-based change. So you want to send a signal to all the healthcare companies that if you don't do what we say, we're going to kill you? Really? So that's where we're going to, is that ultimately it's about physical violence. And I don't think that that is how a planet evolves. It's kind of been a part of our history for sure. But is this where we want to go and stay? That
Yeah.
ultimately it's about who can harm the other person physically, and an eye for an eye or tooth for, an eye for an eye is, Gandhi said, will leave the whole world blind eventually.
Yeah.
And I believe in that. So the
So
next, what is heaven on?
earlier,
Go ahead.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
Heaven on earth is really your consciousness expanding. That's how we will have heaven on earth, is all of our consciousness expands. We have enough resources to feed the world 10 times over. We have enough brains to cure every disease. We have enough talent. We absolutely do. And if each individual awakens to that we're one, this is going to sound, of course, very idealistic, but you have to have an ideal, whether you're going to get there or not. Maybe it'll happen in 10,000 years, maybe not now. But I'm still going to say it, which is that awakening that there's more than enough for everyone, then you will have that peace on earth. And then we can learn from without that kind of struggle or that kind of survival, we can learn. We need to do it in our own personal life first. Are you stepping out of survivor mode and stepping into peace? And then in next step would be into joy and celebration. So are you going to do that in 2025? Whether you're let's talk about all the people, because a lot of people, at least in the Western world, in this country, are going to base their happiness, even subconsciously, on who's president
Mm-hmm.
and focus on that news. I go, why
Well,
don't you listen?
because it's hard to risk because we're also programmed. We're everything we're watching, everything we're listening to is telling each side that it's doomsday for them.
But you're
So,
programmed because you are programmable, and your
yeah,
programmableness is your power, not your weakness, because you can reprogram, deprogram, and reprogram. So deprogram and reprogram and find a new system, a way of living that isn't causing harm to yourself.
exactly. Exactly.
That's what
Um,
your thing
I
is.
had told Kevin the same thing because Kevin was just getting so deep in all of this stuff. I'm like, Kevin, it is murdering your soul every single day. You are so consumed by all of this that it's the extreme of looking for the monster. So I know I'm really good at looking for the monster out there in the world, but I'm
But,
trying to be very careful
but
about
that
how
monster
much.
mm, that monster creates a monster within yourself, because those people aren't worried about you. The haters, the manipulators, the whatever they are that you don't like, they don't really care about you, but you're letting them in, and you're letting them create within you a free another duplicate. You've cloned them. Now they don't even have to do anything. You've got this upset created living in your own house with you. And that's why I say, oh, you had to do such a breakthrough and such an awakening. And that's where the great awakening is, the great shift. It's not about who's going to be president. That's not the great shift. It's your reaction to everything is the great shift, not the thing itself. What have all the great masters throughout history that you've ever read about? What do? They are able to reinterpret what is happening, redefine what is happening.
No
You go,
matter
well,
how painful.
some people say, well, what if I
The
just got,
Mandelas, everybody.
no, you just got fired. Okay, well, two people can get fired from the same company, and one could be very happy about it, and one could be like, oh my God. And I go, what, you wanted to stay there for the rest of your life? No. Oh, so you didn't. When were you going to leave? Well, when I got another better job. Oh, so it's okay when you leave them, but not when they leave you.
Hmm.
So you were going to quit like in a year when you got the better job on the side, when it's convenient for you. And they are going to get this sort of lame version of yourself working for them for the next year. Well, guess what? They knew you belonged somewhere else and were willing to do something about it. You knew you belonged somewhere else, but weren't willing to do anything about it.
Good one. Good one.
You're worried about how you're going to survive without them. They're not worried about how they're going to survive without you. Why don't you claim your power again and understand that the universe is moving you forward Well, I don't know if it is.
It
Well, that's up
always
to you.
is.
That's up to you. We're all out there, man, living life, doing the battles, raising the kids, facing ourselves. This is creation school, everyone. Earth is creation school. Just teach that to every infant that is born, and you will empower them. But if you teach them that this is a place to get what you want, oh, the list of problems will keep going. See, if you're in creation school, it will be kind of open ended because there's always more to create. If it's about
Mm-hmm.
getting what you want, that becomes checking things off of a list. You can barely get your household chores checked off the list. Or if you do, okay, try it, you know, 2 years every single day in a row. It's so hard. And now your life becomes about checking off lists. So you want to have another reality happen in 2025? Forget these lists. I always say, forget the to-do list. We should have a to-be list. To be more surrendered, to be more aware without fear. See, I always add without fear because if I say just become more aware, oh yeah, I'm more aware of all the bad stuff and the monsters out there. I'm more aware. See. I go, yeah. How are you feeling though? Oh, how am I supposed to feel? Look at all this bad stuff that's out there. As a test, some years ago when I was on Facebook, I put a picture of the Earth and I just wrote underneath it, "The world is a safe place." Period. And I just let it hang.
Hmm.
I wanted to see what was going to happen. And boy, what an explosion happened on my Facebook page. How could you say that? You being from the place like India where you could see all the poverty, and how could you say it's a safe place? And look what's happening over here, and look what's happened over there. I go, so is the world more safe or more dangerous? I'm just asking you a question. Don't turn it back around on me. I'm just asking you, do you see more safety in the world or more danger? Well, it depends where you live. I asked you,
Is the
count
glass
all the
half
count
full
all
or
the
half
cities.
empty?
It's way more than half full. Count all the cities and all the countries and all the states. Go through all the country, get a globe and look. And out of all the places on Earth, can you walk down the street mostly without getting robbed? Well, that's most cities. And I'm from the Bronx in New York, and still more safe than dangerous. Why? Because you're not getting robbed every single day. So it's more safe than dangerous. This is not conjecture. This is not being idealistic. This is actual fact. Can you even breathe there? Is this going to even land on you? Or you're just going to be like, well, there's still a lot of crime and a lot of horrible things. I go, right. I'm not telling you to ignore it. I'm telling you, what is your baseline, though? I keep having to, you see how much we're programmed? I have to pound this into
Yeah.
people, pound it into them,
Yeah.
pound it. What is your baseline?
It's about remembering that because it's so easy to look at the negative. That's why I like ending my day with, where do things go well today? What do I need to improve on? And because if one bad thing happened in the day, but even and I've watched it, one bad thing happened, but when I had to recite the good things that happened, there were massive things, Riz, and I'm like, wow, what an asshole I am.
Especially if you're
It's
in front of the public.
unbelievable.
Right. In front of the
Yeah.
public, you're going to have people, well, you can have a restaurant where everyone loves your food. You're just known as one of the best restaurants. Guess what? There's people who say that restaurant is terrible.
Yeah.
They hate it. They didn't like the service. The manager was a jerk. They did something to you. Get that's planet Earth. Okay, so what are you going to do? And so I had a client, and he was a pretty famous rapper, and he was doing some shamanic healing work with me, which I do with people. And I thought we were going to go over like he grew up in the hood and all the stuff, crime that he saw, and he ended up being a rapper, and he wanted to process all of that pain. No, his one of his biggest things was he couldn't get it out of his mind that at a couple of his concerts, people gave him the finger, the middle finger. At his concert, it's 15,000 people in Staples Center. It never left his mind. 14,995 people are screaming your name, chanting your actual name. But you remembered five people
Mm-hmm.
who were like towards the front row. He's like, why do they even pay money for those front row tickets? Why are they even, the whole time they had their arms crossed and just like acting like they hated me. So I said, maybe they hate you. What do you mean? Like people love to hate. They go out of their way to comment and make up all sorts of stuff about you and write it online. They're going to go to your concerts too. He never thought about it that he was just like, why would they pretend to not like me? I'm like, no, they're not pretending. They don't like you. They're willing to pay money to go and show you that they don't like you.
Yeah. Well, and also they're probably addicted to that feeling,
Yeah. Well, they are. Of course
and
they
that's
are.
how they get their rise.
That's right.
But also, they could be our, what did you call them earlier? The spiritual contracts. They
Right. The
came
spiritual.
to have
Yeah.
to teach him that lesson.
What was it pointing to is what is he paying attention to?
Mm-hmm.
How does he feel about himself? And is he relaxed about that this is in creation school? There's people who are, you can't please everyone. Listen, Jesus, Buddha, Mother Teresa, they couldn't get everybody to like them. What chance in hell do you have?
Exactly.
Let it go, people.
Heal Squad, that's your focus for 2025. I have to ask you one more prediction, and that's in the
Sure.
realm of money.
Yeah.
What do you see financially for us this year?
Okay. So when we're talking about are you talking about the economy or are you actually talking about the deeper understanding of money? I might have to tie both of those together.
I would like both tied in.
First of all, number one, I absolutely see the economy getting better. I see it.
Now, is that you knowing that Trump is associated with a good
No,
economy? That's you, that's you,
I didn't
the
think he was
psychic, and
associated with. No, I mean, on a personal level, I wasn't crazy about it because I was a New Yorker from the 80s. So I see him differently than other people saw him. But I don't base it on he's successful in that area. I really don't. Excuse me. But here's what I do see. The reason is not has anything to do with him. What I see is I see more um, small business owners and self-employed people. That's where I see it. I see this great rise of people who are sick of systems and doing things that weren't true to who they are. It's coming from a more spiritual place. It's not about the administration. It would have happened under Kamala too. It would have happened either way. It's that people were like, "Oh, I can rely on my own unique talents, abilities, and services." And so we're going to start to slowly see the rise of entrepreneurs, but not, I'm not talking like tech entrepreneurs and like we're talking $1 billion type of stuff. I'm talking more smaller stuff because we're seeing the commercial enterprises getting so clogged, the store is getting so clogged, and people, I don't know, you're going to see, you know how like we're hiring people to, I don't know, fix your house. And it's like instead of going to a big contractor, you might go to a smaller contractor. I see smaller businesses on the rise, and they're not, I also see that they're not going to kind of need the same government support to start up. I see that their services are going to be more personal, and thanks to social media, I see that people are going to know about them more. It's very, excuse me, very grassroots, but very strong. Um, you want to talk about the deeper part of money, and is it going to be more about digital currency?
yeah,
100,
Bitcoin.
100% we're moving towards that. I
Is the
saw this.
federal government going to adopt Bitcoin? And
No, not entirely. No. I do see that there's going to be some form of credits. You can definitely call it virtual currency, whether you call it virtual currency, Bitcoin, or credit. That's basically what it is, right? It's digital. It's not a physical thing. It's not backed by gold anymore. So I see that that actually needs to happen rather than, oh, that's not going to be good that that happens. Here's why. Because everything is money is energy and everything is based on energy. Now, people say it used to be backed by gold and it's not. I don't know. It's still about like when you buy something from Amazon, there's no little elf that takes your little, your $20 and moves it over in gold and moves it over to the vault of Amazon. It's just numbers on a screen, right? because ultimately it's numbers on the screen, right? It's just
Yep.
now the numbers change. And that's because at the base, foundational belief and understanding and reality is that money is actual energy. It's just our agreement that this is worth this amount of energy in terms of $10, $20, $1,000. So I see that it's messy in its evolution to where it's going, but
Bitcoin.
yes, but it will get better and evolve. Bitcoin is the first trimester where things look like a blob in the body, so to speak,
Okay.
but it is on the right track.
So we were going to do an episode in the new year with Dr. Allison, who's going to teach us about Bitcoin, and we were going to help the Heal Squad open up their first Bitcoin accounts. Is this a good thing to do in
Yes,
2025?
yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes, it
Because
is. I don't.
people are always torn, even me. How much money do you put in? Because
Well, the
it's a
theme of
scary
2025,
concept.
the theme of 2025 is invest, do not speculate. Speculation, that type of energy is not going to be good for this.
Just do it. Be like Nike.
Well, because invest, probably the CFO of Nike would have other things, other advice for you than just do it. But I would say here is that once you invest, the mindset that you're going in with is, I just lost all my money. That should be your mindset
Okay.
because that's a surrender. You've let go of the energy. Hey, just lost all
Whatever
my money.
happens, happens.
Well, I don't like saying it that way
Okay.
because there's no spark of life in it.
But I also don't like the energy of I just lost my money because you're declaring something you don't want.
Okay, so let's phrase it differently. Let's just say I just released it to the wind. Let's see where all of these dandelion little fluffy things
I
fly.
love that.
Maybe they'll make a nice painting on the bark of a tree that you go, and the dandelion fluffers will then suddenly make a heart on the tree. I I I mean, how wild do we have to make this? The point is we're letting it go.
Okay. What
The point
about
is,
the regular stock market and the S&P
so
500?
what I see is that what people are not doing is and I don't know anything about the stock market. Again, I'm speaking just as a psychic, so please translate this properly for those of you who are into stocks. What I'm saying is absolutely yes, but I do see that the formulas that are going to change. I see someone coming out with a much more easy to use formula for the average person. Here's another thing I see. I see that we are on our way. Earlier, I was speaking about small businesses. I see that there's going to be a way for people to invest in small businesses that is not, it's all going to be done through apps and things like that. But I see banks will also get behind it. They don't know how to tap into the private, like entrepreneur, and how to make it work for them because there's more people now offering. And I know this is going to sound a little muddy and weird because it feels like we're not talking about this. So you have to just take it as a prediction and you'll see it unfold as I'm saying, is that the power of those individual services in practical day-to-day life of where you live and where you're in your city, those ideas are going to come into they're going to flourish more. So the power of the states are going to be much more important than the federal.
Got it.
It's going to be much more about the states.
It's so funny. I was thinking of something a few months ago. Basically, what you're saying to make investing super easy in that kind of more micro way.
Yes,
Um,
because it benefits everyone. It benefits the investor and the
yeah,
company
yeah.
because there's more confidence and there's less waste. So
But
I
should people be afraid to invest in the market in 2025? Is there going to be any kind of collapse? Because think about it, the fears are, all this money is just being siphoned. Billions of dollars are being sent everywhere when we're in an incredible deficit.
right. You're talking about America, clearly.
Yeah, who's paying for all of this? Who's paying for $1 billion to go here and $20 billion to go there? And hey, let's give everybody it's friggin' Oprah with the economy.
Now, what's amazing,
You get a
I made the
billion
connection for a second.
and you get a
Okay.
billion and you get a billion. Well, who the fuck is paying for this?
Okay. So remember something. What is the paying for it? It's blips on a screen, numbers on a screen.
That's the problem, though, Riz,
I
because
know.
my blips mean something to me. So my
Exactly.
blips are blood money. And if I want to go get my blood money and it's not there because they've sent it everywhere, that's a
Okay.
problem.
Thank you for saying that. You're going right where I want to talk about. Okay. So it's about the meanings that we ascribe to the energy of what the money means to us, as opposed to people who can just write it off. Like, what is it? The big companies just writes it off.
Okay,
That
Bill
don't
Gates
sign.
can write it off. The rest of us are like, that's blood money.
Exactly. Right. Okay. But let's continue. Here's the thing. I do see the power of the states getting much, much stronger. The identity of states becoming much stronger. It is that way. There is a certain consciousness that is in a lot of states that will start to kind of become more clear that, oh,
Or a
that's the state.
lack.
Yeah. No, it's just not, they all have consciousness because this consciousness is just about what you think the reality is, and you create it for yourself that way. So their consciousness isn't there. The hawk consciousness is different than the dolphin consciousness is different than the mongoose, different than the muskrat, different than the eagle. It's just different consciousness.
I love the eagle and I love when the eagle poops.
So where we're going is, look, a big shift that's going to happen with money is the way income is taxed. That is where it starts, how income is taxed. I see a great grievance happening amongst those who are not wealthy and those who are quote unquote wealthy.
So big taxes coming in 2025.
Big tax change is coming, initiating in 2025, going to affect this entire administration and the next one. Um,
And that
I do
means
see, by the way,
increase of taxes
I'm going to say,
because grievance is only attached to an increase. No one's going to be mad if it's a
no, it's grievance
decrease.
just the way it is. For example, in certain states where, even use California as an example, if you make what is considered to be a higher income, you're paying a lot more.
Yeah.
So that's going to change. The change has to happen. I see that there is what the state that I see that's going to have the greatest amount of challenges about who they were and who they are becoming is going to be Texas.
In what way?
Well, you have, before it was considered to be a particular state was maybe more red, right? Um, and it's not only used to be blue, it might be purple also. It's changing rapidly in that state. And it's going to be a very interesting state to watch how their values of what they had before and how they are expanding into what they can be. And they can be very great. Eventually, they can be very great, a very great state. Um, and what I mean by that is, look, change is inevitable. But I see that they're a very good litmus test for different people. They have a great influx of people coming into that state, which is changing things. It's also people who have been living there are coming up with new ideas, and it's going to progress. I'm not saying progressive, but it's the state to watch, is that particular state. Um, One last thing I want to say is there is up in New England area a great deal of history and a great deal of old ideologies that um, are going to be shaken up. I see that we're seeing, I see that there's a new influx of thought and ideas happening in that particular country, in that particular area of the country. I'm saying this, guys, right now because I look at the map and I go, where is my psychic energy being drawn to? It is there. I probably don't have to be a psychic to say this, but Florida really is going to get pounded with more natural disaster stuff. That's that's just nature, but it's also accelerating there. I do find that one of the other countries that I see is going through a lot of change is going to be Australia. And that is, again, where they were as opposed to who were they evolving into. So that's a big, big, big deal. Um, so, yes, you don't need to be worried about the Bitcoin thing. I also don't see it as you're going to see a return on that like immediately or even in the near future. It's more long term. and I see
So
a great
America's not going to declare bankruptcy.
no, and I don't see TikTok being banned either.
Oh, okay. Yeah, good
Yeah,
one. I forgot about that one.
people are still going to be using TikTok. I
Okay.
see it's going to survive somehow.
Any predictions for the Heal Squad before we go? I've never thought of that, but hello. What about for
Yeah,
the Heal Squad?
yeah, Heal Squad has to put something out there like I don't know. I tell you something. It's almost like you have like a Heal Squad weekend or you have a Heal Squad thing that people can go to. You have a Heal Squad cruise where you invite all the healers that you love and you make it into one big Heal Squad party and people can get on the cruise and go.
Well, you must have been reading our minds because that's what we're doing this year.
Are you really?
Heck yeah. We
I
just put
must.
out a survey to the whole Heal Squad like, would you want a day? Would you want a weekend? Yeah. So I'm doing my first retreat for a small group of people in the DR that is specific to the DR. Maybe you can
Okay,
join us if you'd like.
sure. I love the DR.
Um, but it's to work out the kinks so that when we do this for the Heal Squad and for everyone in the Heal Squad community, hopefully in the spring with Dr. Allison, and then we're going to do one in the fall as well. We're
Sure.
mapping it out now. I can use that test group to kind of like work out the kinks, make sure we got a good plan for everybody. But yeah, that's what we want to do.
Oh, well, that's what I see. I don't know. I see it on water. I see it on the cruise, and a great time for all, great ideas and knowledge being shared, and just wonderful, wonderful for the advancement of the Heal Squad's mission, and nothing but more popularity on its way. You guys are just getting over. This is going to be the tipping point for you guys to share your work with triple the audience. Even I mean, I know your audience is growing by leaps and bounds, but it's just going to get more and more. So yes. Um, Happy to be a part of it in any way.
I love that. Riz, this has been so amazing. As always, I feel like we have some clarity to go into 2025 with. The biggest thing I think is the mindset, and it's all of these nuggets you've given us over these episodes are so, so important. And just again, the simplest way, guys, is to just remember you're Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz and you have the power. And we forget, which is why I love what we do here because we're here every day. I did an interview with Montel Williams the other day, and he was talking about his journey through MS and how he was
Wow.
eating fruit and all these, like eating tons of fruit. And I go, oh my God, he was sent to tell me that I forgot to eat fruit because my blood sugars have been high and that's
Uh,
causing other problems.
uh,
And I started eating fruit and all those problems went away. And so we are reminded constantly to stay on this path, but we have to remember that we have so much more control over this journey than we think. And this was a wonderful reminder of how we can think, and how we can take 2025 and really surrender and be victorious in the end.
I love it. I'm so happy to be here, guys. And I wish everyone a beautiful, peaceful, and consciousness expanding year ahead.
I love it. Thank you, Riz. Happy 2025, friends. In the meantime, be nice people, make good choices, and be present.